What do you think the size of that market is for you?
Well, in Canada, it's interesting because there is limitations in terms of the kind of information that you can get from your doctor, and a lot of the biomarkers that we provide, you just can't get access to. There's things that you can do about it. That's the whole idea of understanding biomarkers.
I really want to talk today about your journey.
Well, life is a funny thing. It is. It's replete with curveball after curveball, and you don't really necessarily understand where you're going to go.
When it comes to suffering, right, there's an amount that is acceptable, and then there's an amount that it's also acceptable to end the suffering. And I know your story a little bit. I want to hear it again. Hey, team, you can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. During the Unbeatable Leader Challenge, you'll learn the same techniques I used as a Navy SEAL and trained other SEALs to perform under fire. Breath control, focused awareness, and the daily habits to turn stress into strength. In just 2 days, 90 minutes a day, you'll experience what it feels like to operate with calm, confidence, and clarity, not chaos. Thousands have already used this system to reset their focus, lead their teams with confidence. And now you can experience for yourself completely free, because my mission is to get these tools in the hands of 1 million people this year. Will you be one of them? Go to unbeatableleader.com or click the link below to register for free. Be proactive, not reactive, and train your mind that leads it all. I'll see you in training. Welcome to the Mark Divine Show. I am your host, Mark Divine. If you didn't know that, probably did, but I'm super stoked to have you here. This show is more than a podcast. We are a tribe of committed leaders striving to lead with heart and compassion, developing resilience and optimism and like a vision for a better future, I think. So if that sounds like you or something you want to be part of, then you're in the right place. And I get to have conversations with incredible people like my guest today, Cody Lakefield. Is that how you say it, Lakevold?
That's it. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever said your last name out loud.
You haven't. It just happened, though.
It just happened.
There's something special about what just occurred. Yeah, that's right.
It is special.
Yeah.
Cody Lakefield. Cody's a friend of mine. I've known Cody for a number of years. You'll hear that story. He's the co-founder of a company called Longship, which is basically helping men find their center and to be bold and courageous in the world and to kind of overcome, some of the weakening of the male brand that's been going on in our cultures, Western culture. That is.
Well said.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm really proud to be associated with Longship and contributing my intellectual capital and my heart and some time and support. So it's a super cool project. He's also the founder or co-founder of a company called LookHealth, which is bringing health power back into individual hands through home testing kits. In fact, I didn't do it this morning because when you told me it requires 60 minutes and everything, I was like, oh wait, I actually need some time.
Yeah.
But every time that I've ever gotten bio tested, right, for hormones and blood markers, they literally have pulled like a quart, like 13 vials of blood out of me, and I'm like, holy shit, am I going to survive this?
right.
And your test kit literally is a prick of the finger.
It's capillary,
and you put it, make a blood dot.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You just drip blood onto what's called an ADX100 card. And then we pop it in the mail, send it off to our lab here in San Diego, USSL. They do deep analysis on it. And then through our Peak portal, through LookHealth, we upload all of your information, and it's just made available to you.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And then the swab is also to get genetic markers?
That's genetics through our partnered organization, Nutrigenomics. So we do both biometric and genetic assessment.
Yeah, this is like the forefront of personalized health.
Right. And made convenient.
And made easy and convenient.
Exactly.
For me, it's like, oh God, I got to go get my blood taken again. Or I had to schedule time or make an appointment, right?
Oh, yeah. No, it's a pain. And going to the lab, having to go into the lab and then you get poked and you don't know what kind of practitioner you're going to get. And this is a much easier methodology. And it's
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's a cool company. We just launched it.
What do you think the size of that market is for you?
Well, in Canada, it's interesting because there is limitations in terms of the kind of information that you can get from your doctor, and a lot of the biomarkers that we provide, you just can't get access to. Which is.
You mean they won't give you the biomarker?
No. So if you go and request like vitamin D, because it's a universal healthcare system, you have to have a pertinent reason. You have to have a symptom. You have to be sick.
Oh wow.
Yeah, to be able to.
So
get
anybody who's like vying for universal health coverage in the United States. Listen to this conversation here. Right?
Yeah,
it's not all it's cracked out to be.
No, there's a lot of issues with our universal health care. So, and especially limitations to access to your information, right? And so for us, this is profoundly important information to be proactive about your own health.
Heck yeah.
You need to know how you're doing, before symptoms persist, before you get sick. We've got realistically what we've termed a sick care system, right?
Yeah.
Wait until you get sick, and then we'll try to deal with it.
Prevention before intervention.
Exactly. Yeah, it's proactive methodology.
Yeah.
That's all that we're doing.
Well, that's cool. Well, I look forward to seeing my results and what they say. Hopefully they come back and say that I'm the healthiest guy on the planet.
It's you.
Although, I got to say,
won't
after my
surprise
accident
me.
in February, I know some things are still pretty gooned up.
Well, we'll take a look at that.
My
Yeah.
lymph system is a little bit gooned up.
Your inflammation markers will be probably pretty
Inflammation
interesting.
markers will be
HSCRP.
interesting.
Yeah,
For sure.
but we'll take a look at it. There's things that you can do about it. That's the whole idea of understanding your biomarkers, is that we can get in front of things so
Like
that
burpees?
they don't. Yeah, just 1,000 burpees.
1,000 burpees should fix it.
Yeah, only you. You're the only kind of person I know who's slammed into a tree going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and then a few months later is just cranking out burpees.
Why not, right?
Well,
The doctor said don't move, and I'm like, well, that's false. Like, that's wrong.
right. Yeah.
Right? You need to move your body to heal your body.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, I take all that medical advice with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, me as well.
So
Yeah, I think you have to be your own health advocate in this world. right?
Definitely.
You got to take care of yourself.
well, that's cool that you're kind of bringing that back to the forefront. But I really want to talk today about your journey.
Yeah.
I know you've got an investment company, and starting stuff like this is all exciting, and I'm sure you'll be successful. But it doesn't tell me anything about who Cody is.
Yeah.
And I know your story a little bit, and I want to hear it again. It's a good one. It's a good one.
It's a story.
Because you know what? But by the way, Longship is the result of that,
That's right.
right? So when we live life and when you have a big life, like a lot of, people say that about my life. Like, how did you accomplish all these things? It's like, because there were a hell of a lot of challenges that I had to overcome, which opened these doors or gave me the sense of possibility.
Yeah.
And so I look at my life as a bunch of sausage making, but it's presented as it's just like perfect journey. There is no such thing as perfection.
No. Well, life is a funny thing. It is. It's replete with curveball after curveball, and you don't really necessarily understand where you're going to go. I read your book a long, long time ago before I met you. And so I knew your story before you and I actually went for breakfast. But, you look at your story, right? Like when you were a kid, would you have ever thought that this is where you'd end
Hell
up?
no.
Right.
No, in fact, I can see, total inflection points where this would have been completely cut off.
No, absolutely.
Right?
Me
Like
too.
had I not followed my intuition to go into meditation when I was at the martial art, right? Wouldn't have happened.
Yep. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing for me. I should be a stockbroker, right? Like I should be here still managing money, but gratefully I'm not. I'm doing something that life has steered me in a particular direction. And because of that, I'm living something that I feel is profoundly purposeful, and I get to do that. And that in and of itself is quite an honor.
That is. Yeah. That's like, if we can all get there, then we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Living a life on purpose, which is your purpose.
Right. Yeah.
And it could take a long time to figure that out.
Yeah. And I think we're all still kind of figuring it out.
Yeah. It's a moving target, so we got to
100%.
always be evolving.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, but I'm pretty freaking good at developing effective leaders. And I know that you don't become one by accident. You become one through deliberate, integrated daily training. In fact, the secret sauce that allowed Navy SEAL candidates that I've trained to go from a 10% pass rate of buds to over 90% was by sharpening their physical, mental, emotional, intuitional, and spiritual capacities every day, all together, because real leadership demands whole person integration. That's the philosophy behind the Unbeatable tribe that we have on school. When you come inside and join that community of leaders who train these capacities that I call the 5 mountains every single day. In school, the standard tier, you're given access to the Unbeatable classrooms, my Unbeatable Leader challenges, and community accountability so you can build the foundation of mental toughness and emotional resilience. But if you want to step up to group coaching, accountability, and guidance from myself and certified Unbeatable Master Coaches, then the premium tier will include monthly group performance coaching, hot seat, and Q&A access in the Unbeatable Leader Challenge to push you past your plateaus. And for those really called to lead others, to serve as coaches, trainers, or mentors, the VIP tier includes the signature Mental Toughness Coaching Certification, which consists of an additional live coaching call with me and one live training call with our master coaches every month. So whether you're a parent, a founder, a coach, or simply someone who refuses to settle for mediocrity, there's a place for you in the Unbeatable Tribe. I hope you step into this training, step into 20x your potential. Join the Unbeatable Tribe now. Okay, let's get back to the show. So what was Cody 1.0 like?
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised in...
At a very young age.
yeah, 1984. I came into being. And...
Dude, 1984, I was...
Yeah,
I was a junior in college.
Yeah. I was born into a very good family, in a great city, St. Albert. It's a suburb of Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada. And I had an idyllic upbringing. My dad was a stockbroker, and he became quite successful in his career. My mom was a pediatric nurse, and she was an amazing mother. I had a mom and dad who were just like remarkable people and were deep, deep lovers, like just loved their children desperately. I had an older brother, Jesse, who was, I think, when you think of, a big brother that everybody would just dream to have, that was my brother. Like Jesse was 2 years older than me, like really handsome, really good looking guy, was a baseball player, very talented baseball player. Ended up playing college ball here in California for Merced.
No kidding.
Yeah. Played for the Blue Devils. And just, on all
Heading
around.
toward the pros?
Yeah, that was the idea.
That was the idea.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure on Jess.
I bet.
Because he had an arm. Like he was throwing mid-80s when he was a kid.
Wow.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I think we all, at a young age, we were all very tight family, very, very tight. And there was a lot of love there. My dad was never the guy who work ended and he was coming home. It was never drinks after work with his buddies. It was none of that. He just came straight home. And, as time progressed, life happens. My mom ended up getting hit by a truck when I was about 12, 13 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
In a car?
Yeah, she was in her van. And she was hit by a big truck, pancaked the van, and it ended up destroying her spine. And she suffered some brain damage because of it. Her job was taken away because they deemed her no longer fit for service as a pediatric nurse. So it cost her vocation. And then when you take somebody like that, her vocation was like very purposeful for her too.
Of course.
Giving back to kids, looking after kids in that way. She was a really, really good nurse. And it took her away from that. It put her on a bunch of OxyContin and then shoved her on a couch.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of the kind of descent of things. She started getting really sick, and then manic depression took hold. It gave her too much time to think. She was just sitting and contemplating all the time at home without really opening up to anybody. And she'd suffered a pretty horrific upbringing when she was a kid. And so all that came to play, and she never really dealt with that. And you know this, right? Like that shit, it festers. And it got really bad for my mom. So she became pretty sick pretty fast. And as a result, it introduced, some trial and tribulation into the family.
You think? Wow.
Yeah. And so, mom got really hooked on OxyContin, and she got hooked on gambling, which that's a interesting pairing. Is those two addictions were pretty heavy.
Was she mobile at that point? Or
yeah, she could move around at that point. The Oxy gave her enough freedom that she could move around without too much in the way of pain, but her just consciously, she was not operating.
Oh, that's
right?
unfortunate.
Yeah, and Oxy being the way that it is, it's meant to be something for acute trauma, right? It's not meant to be something taken for a prolonged period of time.
No. It's so highly addictive.
Right, and she ended up being on it for 20 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, by the time we finally ended up getting her off it later, but she was on, I think she was doing something like 760 milligrams of Oxy a day, which is like enough to kill a small village. It's unreal. And like my mom is like 5'4", so yeah, the medical, there's a reason why, LookHealth is important to me, because I look at some of this stuff and some of the diagnosis and some of the support that doctors gave my own mother, and was like, you could have showed up a little bit better, taking care of your patients a little bit more. So because my mom's oxy addiction, things got a little interesting at home. And then my dad, I ended up going to work with my father. He was, like I said, a stockbroker, and so I became a broker with my dad. My dad was my hero. He was just a pillar of strength. No matter what was going on in the household, my dad was just always there.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy that was just dedicated.
How did he handle his wife's situation?
As best as he could. She got pretty wily.
Mm-hmm.
But his focus was always, there was a lot of arguing, a lot of screaming in my house. But it was because, my dad was so worried. He was afraid of what was happening. And he was also, I think, always consciously trying to protect me and Jesse from, the blunt end of my mother. And so, Dad showed up. He did what he could as best he could. But, there were times when it was pretty challenging for him. Mm-hmm. And, Jesse went off to college ball, played in college ball. There was the angle that he was potentially going to go pro. His nickname in high school, son of a bitch, Jesse's nickname was Lake Show. Okay, so he was like, my last name's Lakevold. He's going to the show, so they gave him this name, Lake Show. He's like really good looking, and like, this guy's going to make it. My nickname was Squidge. Okay, so
Squidge.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So you could see there's a bit of a disparity between how cool I was and my
I don't think
brother.
I've ever heard that word, but I really like it.
Yeah,
Squidge.
well, you've heard it now, and I still have people at home who are like, hey, Squidge, what's happening? Like, yeah, great.
Thanks.
Yeah, still haven't outlived that one. Thank you, Jess. So that's the kind of thing that I think Jesse, there's a lot of pressure on Jess to succeed, and a lot of expectation that he put on himself realistically. And when that didn't end up coming to fruition, he ended up coming back home to St. Albert. And
so he didn't make the pros.
Didn't make the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Came home and took into road construction, and I think just settled into this space where he felt like a failure.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then he started drinking, because I think, that hole was big enough that he just wanted to try and start numbing that.
Mm-hmm.
He was very uncomfortable being by himself.
Hmm.
And so Jesse took to drinking, and so then it was, mom's addicted to oxy, and Jesse is becoming quite an alcoholic. It started off innocuous enough, I think, innocent enough, and then it just got like horrible. Like Jesse would start drinking on a Monday to prove to himself that he could handle it, right? He would have a couple drinks on a Monday, and it was just like, see, I can have 2 drinks, and I'm fine. Mm-hmm. And then the second day would come, he'd have 3. And by the end of the week, he would drink 2 bottles of vodka, no problem, like in half a day, just down both bottles, enough to kill me, in a short period of time. And so, we'd have to find Jesse, because he would go totally quiet, and we'd have to break into his condo and find him collapsed on the floor and very unwell. And so dry him out. So I think for my dad, seeing his family falling apart like this was really painful. And I know it was for me as well. But you're a tight-knit family and you love each other. And so the job is to just take care of one another, right? And so we did. But that pressure and that angst and all that pain, I think, was really, really heavy on my dad. And as we were working together, Dad came to work one day, and we would start every day with a cup of coffee and toast. And I noticed his thumb was twitching. That's interesting. Like, what's going on with your hand? He goes, just nerves or something. And sure enough, about 6 months later, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And that was a big blow, because this guy was like,
He's your rock, yeah.
Yeah, he was solid, and had always been. And for the first time, I think, in my entire life, I finally saw fear in my dad's eyes when we sat down and talked about, like, you've been diagnosed with this, and this is what we're going to deal with now. And so, then, it was down to, I was the only healthy one in the family. And it all felt like it happened fast. By that time I was married. I was about to have my first child, Adela. And, my family around me was spiraling pretty good. But I had a job to do, right? I had to look after my clients as a portfolio manager, as an investment advisor, and make sure that they were taken care of. And I had to look after my wife and my child at home as best as I could. And so you just grind through it, right? Like for me, it was just, I didn't need to talk to anybody. It was just do the job. Shut up and do the job. You got people to look out for. You got people to take care of. No complaints, no whining, just do it. And so
did you have any like spiritual practice or grounding, or what held you together during this phase?
I was very much a church-going Christian at the time, although I didn't find much solace in that. At that age, my version of Christianity was, I think, a mile wide and an inch deep. Mm-hmm. I was a church-going Christian, but I wasn't
practicing.
Yeah, I wasn't deep in my beliefs or my faith. So I didn't really rely too much on that. I mean, I prayed a lot, and I prayed for, obviously my family to heal and to get better. But when things started to turn worse, my dad got sicker and sicker, and he got sick fast. He got really sick really quick. And after about a year after his diagnosis, my dad went to Kelowna, BC, in Canada, which is this beautiful kind of vacation town that my family used to go to every year. Mm-hmm. And so he went to Kelowna, and he ended up taking his life there.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he put himself into the lake. There's a beautiful lake there, Lake Okanagan, and he went out one morning on the boat. We had a boat, and that was it.
And they found the boat without him.
They found the boat. Yeah, there was a guy collided into his empty boat at 2:00 in the morning. Phoned the cops. Cops phoned me. They couldn't get a hold of my mom.
The boat was empty.
Yeah, the boat was empty. Yeah.
I mean, how did he know if it's 2 a.m?
Yeah, the guy ran into it.
He could have run into him, and your dad was knocked overboard.
No, it was sitting idle in the middle of the, and he didn't. It's the guy who ran into it just bumped into it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the night. I think this guy was being pretty cautious too.
Yeah,
and so it was discovered, and some of his stuff had been discovered in the boat. So anyways, we got the phone call from the cops, and I flew out to Kelowna to do a 3-day search for my dad's body. But, it's the lake. It's 1,000 feet deep. So it wasn't recovered.
That's a deep lake.
Oh, it's
Wow.
it's deep in the Rockies, right? Yeah, it's big lake, big lake.
I know I probably don't want to go into this, but I have a lot of warrior in me that says when it comes to suffering, right, there is an amount that is acceptable. And then there's an amount that it's also acceptable to end the suffering.
Yeah.
That's a very controversial statement. I realize that. But as a deep spiritual practitioner, I truly believe that. I don't ever judge an individual who takes their own life.
Neither did I. When he took his own life, there was never any anger over it.
That's good.
No, it was understanding. There's mercy in this.
Yeah.
But it was my dad. So there was never any rage, no anger, nothing affixed to that. I knew how sick he was. But, by the same token,
the impact that has on you and your brother
and my mother is going to be deep now. So now we have to rally, because I've got a sickly mother and a sickly brother who require care and attention, and a lot of it, because they are not doing well. And
you're the last man standing.
Yeah, and I'm the only one. Yeah, exactly. I'm the only one left. So, okay. And,
Did your father's business transfer to you, like the book of clients?
Yeah, it did.
So now you got all that pressure too.
Right. So now I've got, twice the volume in terms of clientele that still require my dedicated attention, which is why when I got home from Kelowna, I spent 3 days out there looking for my dad. When we finally gave up. I flew back and I went like right back into work the next day. I didn't take any time off.
No mourning period or
Nope,
anything?
no time to grieve. Let's get after it. I've got, a mother to look after. I've got a brother to look after. I've got a child. And I've also got this business that requires attention because these people have entrusted me with all their money. Like I can't dishonor that either. That's very important. So I went right back to work.
Front sight focus.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. This is why you have to understand. When I read your book, I was like, yeah,
I get that.
I understand this. Yeah. So we went right back into work, and then I was dealing with all the estate stuff and trying to, come to terms with not having a father and a business partner anymore. And 10 months after my dad passed away, my brother had moved in to live with my mom. Misery loves company, and addicts especially, they have a tendency to live together well. And so Jesse moved in with mom against every fiber of my being.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. So 10 months later, Jesse and my mom got into an argument. Jesse went downstairs. He was the kindest soul in the world, but given the right kind of poison, he was an asshole. And with enough alcohol in him, he could be tough and aggressive. And so he had this explosive argument with my mom. My mom went into the bedroom and essentially hid from him. Not that he would ever hit her, but it was just like, he's irate.
Safe, right?
Yeah. And he went down into the basement, and she heard a crash and just thought, he's breaking the fucking house apart. So she left it, and it turned out that my brother had actually fallen through a plate glass table in the basement and severed his carotid artery. Yeah. And so finally, when my mother did decide to go down into the basement, she found my brother dead on the floor in a pool of his own blood. And so called 911.
This is like a bad movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wow. Yeah. Like, no shit.
Yeah. I was there. Front row seat.
That's kind of the experience of it. Was this feels
I shouldn't have a
surreal
smile on my face, but wow.
But I'm glad that you do it. It's one of the reasons I love you so much. It's why I have a kinship with you, because there's just no getting around it. Like if you can't work through this,
that shit up.
Exactly. And there's a sick sense of humor that's affixed to this. If you don't have a dark sense of humor in
Your
this world,
consciousness has a warped sense of humor.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
To get our attention.
So, we, it was surreal. I got to the house, there was a bunch of police and ambulance there, and so I had to go and collect my mother, whom she and I were not on good terms at that point because I was the head of the estate. And in Canada, I don't know if it's true here. I imagine it's probably similar. But when somebody dies like this and you can't find the body, you have to prove to the court system. You have to prove to the courts that the person is in fact dead. That takes months and months and months. Yeah. So my mom had no access.
Imagine the bureaucratic nightmare that would be.
Oh, and
Wait,
I'm
how are we
trying
supposed to
grieve.
prove he's dead? We can't find his body.
Exactly. So you have to collect all the credit card records and bank statements for months and months to prove he's not withdrawing cash. Yeah, so it took a long time. And my mom was so toxic in her head by that point that she was becoming really paranoid. And she had threatened to sue me for embezzling funds from the estate because she didn't understand what was happening. And so she called her lawyer and said, is this what? And her lawyer called me, gratefully, and said, listen, I don't know what to do with your mom, but your mom's saying some relatively crazy things right now. She doesn't understand what's going on. And she's, she wants to sue you. Oh, okay, all right. So suffice it to say, mom and I were not doing well. But Jesse is dead, and that's my mom. And so, okay. Again, time to go to work. You got to collect yourself. You got to look after your mother. She's your mom. So we ended up moving mom into a condo that was close to our house in Edmonton. And we had Jesse's funeral.
By the way, how's your wife handling all this? Is she wondering what the hell she signed on for?
I think so. I don't know. I didn't really have much in the way of any conversation with her. She was doing her own thing. She was very dedicated to her organization and the company that she worked for. And she and I had no communication methodology whatsoever. So there wasn't much in the way of conversation. We were just going through it, and she was doing what she was doing, and I was just
That's so
doing.
common, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we didn't know really what to do and how to communicate over it. And I sure as shit didn't want to talk about it realistically. I just wanted to take care of it. So we move on, Mom into this condo and have Jesse's funeral. The day after the funeral is my birthday. I turned 31. And my mother fell off a stool because she was so high on OxyContin. She was sitting on a stool in her kitchen. And hammered the floor. She had a fake shoulder. She exploded her fake shoulder and destroyed her humerus. So I get a phone call. I'm at the office because I'm not exactly in the mood to celebrate my birthday. I just want to get some work done, try to catch up on things, right? A little positive distraction maybe from all the shit that's going on here. So I'm at work and I get a phone call that Mom is now at the hospital and she broke her arm. Okay. So I go and see her at the hospital. And I'm laughing because this is one of the most, it was a great experience. It sounds weird, but I get to the hospital and the doctor's talking to me. He's like, your mom is on so much OxyContin that we couldn't give her morphine because we'll kill her. Mm-hmm. So, that's how much oxy this woman is on. Like if we give her a little bit, she's going to die.
Push her over the edge.
So I'm like, okay, so pain management, what'd you do? Like ketamine? Like, what's ketamine? They're like, well.
There you go. Your mom got a little psychedelic journey.
Oh, yeah, a little, for my mom, it had a rather incredible result. So obviously it's a great painkiller. It's an amazing painkiller. But it's also powerful psychedelic. And so when I went into the room to see my mom, I pulled back the curtain. And Mom's sitting there. She's got a smile on her face. I hadn't seen this woman smile in like 2.5 years. Okay? So she's sitting there with this smile on her face. And she looks up. She's, hi, honey. I'm like, what the hell?
Who is this person?
Yeah.
Huh?
Hi, Mom, She goes, it's like, yeah, I really broke my arm pretty bad. And she's like, I'm not in any pain, though. I'm okay. She goes, also, just a bit of a sidebar. I was coming here on the ambulance, and I was talking to your brother and your dad. I'm like, what? And she goes, yeah, your dad and your brother.
Is this before the ketamine or after?
No, this is after. This is ketamine induced. I hope. Otherwise, this is a different conversation entirely. But she said, I rode here with your dad and your brother.
Oh, wow.
And they said they're okay. They're doing just fine. They're not in any pain anymore. They're free. It's all good. She said, but they did tell me that I need to get off of OxyContin. And so she's like, I think I'm going to get off. I've never heard my mom say that ever in my entire life. Never heard her say that she needed to get off. I've heard her say sometimes that she needs to lessen it because she'd OD'd a bunch of times and stuff. But never heard her say that she wanted to get off it. And so I was like, okay, that's incredible. From that point on, Mom started working through getting off of OxyContin, which is a real painful experience, especially for somebody who's been on for 20 years. It took us a year to get off of Oxy. But as this woman got off of this wretched drug, she started coming back to herself. She started becoming my mom again, the woman that I grew up with, the woman that I had when I was a kid. And it just solidified this incredible relationship with this woman. Like my mom, your mom's back.
I'm so glad the story turned out this way because I was expecting another disaster.
Yeah, I'm not done.
Okay. Okay. Better gird myself.
Yeah, sorry, pal. You and I have never really sat down and talked about the entirety of this story, but Mom was doing great. And I started building this amazing relationship with her. And maybe even more importantly to me, my daughter Adela was really fortifying this really important relationship with her grandmother.
Oh, yeah. She had her grandma back, too.
Yeah, and her grandma.
Or for the first time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like she never really knew my mom the way that my mom was supposed to be. And because my mom was the world's greatest pediatric nurse, and she was an amazing mother to me when I was a kid. That showed up for Adela. They cemented this really strong bond together. They were each other's favorite thing in the world, which was just such a cool thing. And I got to rebuild this relationship with this woman that I just cherished. She became I never want to be my best friend to my kid. I'm her dad, and that's a position of honor that I hold pretty dear. And that's how my mom was. My mom was my best friend. She was my mom, you know? So having that relationship back was remarkable. And I ended up getting out of stock brokerage, quit the practice, started a new thing, Holos Productivity, which is an organization that got into corporate wellness, and started working in that vein. Ended up getting a good client in the energy sector, and started working in the States here at a decent-sized project in North Carolina. And so I was out of town working in North Carolina, and I couldn't get in touch with my mom all of a sudden. Mom was going quiet. I couldn't figure out why. I was calling her, but she wasn't picking up the phone. And so finally ended up getting my daughter's nanny to go and check in on my mom just at her condo to see if everything was all right. And my nanny found my mom dead in her bed in her condo. Turned out that she had gotten pneumonia and just passed away. Yeah. Yeah.
The years of oxy took a toll on her.
Exactly.
Physically, she didn't have the strength, and the accidents.
Yeah.
Whatnot.
And her immune system was shot by this point, and her ability to fight back anything that was kind of that malicious just really wasn't there anymore. And so she ended up passing away. And, I had.
And now you're all alone.
Now it's me. Yeah, it is interesting. We talk about this a lot in Longship, and I think we just talk about this a lot as men. When did you become a man? The move from childhood and adolescence into manhood. And for me, that answer was when my dad died. Because once
that was your rites of passage. We don't have any structural rites of passage anymore.
No, which is a real shame.
It is shame.
Yeah.
And that's maybe we'll talk about that.
And that is something that, we want to build into Longship. But we don't really have that. And for me, it was, this recognition of, okay, you don't have your pillar of strength anymore. That net is gone.
And it's got to be you now.
Yeah. When mom died, I no longer had any distraction. My mom was a really healthy distraction because I didn't have to think about my brother's death all the time and my dad's death, because I would just focus on just keep your mom alive and look at how good she's doing. She's doing good. And so that made me feel good, because as the guardian of this family, which is the position that I put myself in and had been in realistically ever since I was a kid, it was on me to ensure that these people would stay alive.
You're like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without any break.
I've got a tattoo of Atlas right here.
Atlas holding up the world.
Exactly.
That's
it's right on my chest. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it was, after mom was gone, then it's, I don't have these things to think about anymore. I don't have my mom's success to lean into and her love and compassion to lean into. And so what do I do now? That's when my brain started acting in interesting ways, and people had told me going throughout this whole experience lasted, this was 4 years, from 2014 to 2018. And people had said,
from when your daughter...
Yeah, from when dad died in 2014.
Then your brother, and then your mother?
And then mom died in 2018, yeah.
Wow.
And people had said, you're probably going to want to go and get checked out. I was going through talk therapy all the time, but I didn't do any trauma therapy, and I didn't, and I was unnerved and annoyed by the implications of PTSD. Most assuredly, you have post-traumatic stress disorder. And for me, my argument for that was, everybody now is using PTSD. Everybody seems to have PTSD. Everybody's experiencing this, and it gets to me.
It's very real, especially post-COVID. People are
right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's the whole culture has
It's a
PTSD.
culture of PTSD, and so I just didn't want to lay into that. For me, it was I'm in my mind, PTSD is reserved for soldiers who come home from the battlefield, who fought valiantly for their countries and had to hold their dead brothers in their arms. And I actually made that argument to my aunt, my mom's sister, who was a therapist. And she said, I want you to get a psychometric evaluation for PTSD. I said, listen, that's for warriors. That's not, that's for soldiers. Because you understand, like, you literally held your dead brother, your actual brother, in your arms, right? Soaked in blood. Like, really? Like, that's the argument that you're making. Like, yeah, fuck. So off to the shrink I go. Ended up getting evaluated.
Not a shrink, Cody. Come on.
Off to the...
Don't tell Sandy you called her a shrink.
No, Sandy, I hold in the highest regard. And my aunt, one of the reasons I do, I think, is because my aunt saved my life. Like, she recognized that there were certain things that were happening with me that were symptomatic, of course, of post-traumatic stress disorder. But I just didn't want to go down that avenue. I just wanted to be left alone. Like, just everybody leave me alone. I want to talk about this shit.
Yeah, I'll figure this out myself.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'll kill myself. But it's like, leave it up to me. Like, I don't want any intervention. I don't want to be burdensome. I don't want people worried. Like, just leave me alone. I'll work through it myself. But, you know,
you weren't suicidal ideation at that point, were you?
Yeah, after Mom died. Well, not quite yet, but as I started going down this path, I started having these nightmares every night. And I couldn't shake them every single night. I started having these nightmares of, and it was the same theme every single time I would watch. It's awful, but I would watch a child, like innocence, just a child. It'd be different settings and be a group of adults, and they would cannibalize the child. It was every night over and over again. And I'd wake up and I'd be soaked in sweat and I'd soak through the sheets.
That is a dark dream.
Yeah, it's so dark that you start wondering, like, okay, there's no
What's
reason
wrong
for
with
that to be in here.
Right.
Why would I ever think of that? And why can't I stop thinking of it? Like, why can I not stop dreaming of it? And so that started happening every single night. And then I started having visions of Adela getting hit by a school bus. Like, just, you know, the next thing, the next most precious thing, and losing that. And it would just occur to me in the middle of a meeting, in the middle of a day, like, it just descend upon me and absorb my thoughts. And so now I'm not sleeping, and I can't concentrate. I'm always edgy. And finally, you know, you start thinking about, this isn't going to stop. For some reason, I can't get this to stop. So I started drinking because, you know,
of course, because why not?
Absolutely.
Right?
And alcohol.
It worked for your brother.
Yeah, it worked. Exactly. Right. Yeah. No, trust me. I'm fully aware of this. But in my mind, it was like, I know that alcohol will kill the dreaming because it'll destroy my REM sleep. And so I'm going to drink. And so I would drink, like, you know, 1 or 2 talls of like whiskey or bourbon or tequila a night, just to shut that shit up so I could get some rest.
Did that work?
Nope. No, it turns out that's not a solution.
Didn't work, huh?
Yeah.
Shocking.
Nope. Didn't work out for me too well. And, you know, bit of a depressant, that one too. So,
yeah, that's true.
So by that point, you know, I had contemplated the idea of killing myself because it's becoming too burdensome. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I've lost the people that are most important, but thank God I had this kid. This little girl who was my absolute everything, this little glimmer of beauty in a place that felt dark and perverse and broke, you know, and there's this little Adela, you know, motoring around and going everywhere with me. So I'm like, well, I can't do that because I can't leave her here. So I got to show up. So, okay. So what does that mean? So I had to, you know, start figuring out what does therapy look like. I started doing EMDR therapy. Which, you know, was made available to me, started going down that path. But gratefully and importantly, I was given a book by a very close friend of mine, Mark Corthius, who I was ironically also the chair of fund development for the Mental Health Foundation.
No irony there at all.
Yeah. So when I had to take leave because of PTSD, I finally had to do this, what I termed the tour of shame, and went around to every organization I was working with and said, you know, like, I can't do anything for 3 months. I had to take 3 months off. And when I told that to Mark, it was like, I got a book for you. And he goes and gets How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and gives me the book and says, you know, just thumb through this because it's just fascinating. You know, he didn't give it to me as a self-help thing. For me, he's just like, I think you're going to find this really interesting. And I did, if you haven't read How to Change Your Mind, highly recommend. It's an amazing book. It practically saved my life. As I was reading through it, there was a chapter that talked about the efficacy of MDMA and its utility for treating PTSD specifically. And its efficacy rates were proving to be incredible. And I am so adverse to the notion of drugs because of the impact that it's made on my family that I never touched anything. Like I smoked, I think, one joint after grade 12. I had a joint in my life and that was it. I'm just horrified. But I'll happily drink 7 bottles of alcohol.
For some reason, we don't have the same value system.
I know,
toward
exactly.
alcohol.
Yeah, the shittiest drug. So I started pouring through the literature and understanding MDMA, and finally reached out to a friend of mine who was MAP certified, amazing guy, very close friend of mine, who actually, he played a central role in a lot of stuff, Hank. And I called him up and said, listen, I'm interested in MDMA therapy, and can you run me through it? And he had brought it up before, but at the time it was like, no, I'm not, this shit's illegal.
He was a practitioner, he could administer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he did. And he walked me through a session in an afternoon. And
describe that experience.
Oh, man. When you speak to people who have any kind of experience with ecstasy or MDMA, they talk about rolling. It's this kind of heightened awareness. All of your senses elevate to a certain extent. For me, especially in that instance, when I took MDMA, for the first time in forever, I felt normal. Yeah, the fear of the world falling apart in front of me and being just bathed in blood and carnage was gone. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel the chaos and the concern. It dissipated. And so we went for a long walk to allow the MDMA to come on. It was a beautiful summer day. And I sat down on a park bench with Hank, and he said, before we get started, I just want you to take a deep breath, breathe. And I want you to just look around for a second. Just take a moment, right? Okay, start looking around. He goes, tell me about the sky. What do you think of the sky? The sky was blue, but now it's MDMA, so it's like electric blue. It's really blue. I said, it's just beautiful. He goes, yeah. He goes, it is, isn't it? He goes, what do you think of the grass? Vibrant green, beautiful. I'm like, God, it's so lovely. He goes, air feels fresh. Like, it sure does. Smells good. I'm like, yeah. He goes, world's a pretty beautiful place, isn't it? I said, yeah, it is. He goes, okay, let's start. Like,
nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect foundations. And then it just allowed me the safety to start turning over these rocks in terms of my position within this story. The narrative that I constructed about myself. And, I had considered it a failing of mine that they had all died. It was my fault. In essence, I had killed him. Because I wasn't there enough. I wasn't dedicated enough. I wasn't a brother enough, a son enough.
That's quite a story.
Yeah.
That you are so powerful.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that ego was, inflamed in a big and extraordinarily dangerous direction. Mm-hmm. And so, I was this central figure in this story that was just nothing but carnage. And, my ego had to take a deep breath. And to realize, no, I did what I could. And that's just the way of it. But they passed anyways. And this is life. And your notion of control is total and complete bullshit. Yeah, and so you're going to have to surrender for a second. And by breathing that out and finally coming to terms with the fact
did he help guide you to that conclusion, or did you just kind of sense into it, see into it?
It was mostly Hank asked a few pointed questions over a 4-hour period.
Because that's pretty profound for that to happen that quickly, to get to that level of surrender and understanding.
And it happened in 4 hours. I got to a place where it was an acknowledgement of who I was in relationship to this particular narrative, and then dismantling this entire association that I had. When I went home that night, I had some dinner and I tucked my daughter in. And then I went in the basement, and interestingly, I poured myself a little tumbler of bourbon.
Let me guess, you didn't touch it.
Yeah. I just looked at it. And I thought, like, man, I sure like bourbon. I love bourbon.
You just
like,
couldn't bring yourself to pick it up.
But I didn't.
I love that.
I didn't need it.
Yeah, you didn't need it.
But I still, I could sat there and admire
what I love
the
about
effort that was put
right,
into
is
it.
that you didn't like forcibly with discipline deny yourself.
No, I admired
you
the
just
drink.
sat it there as a total option, and if you were compelled to have a sip or drink, you would have, but you weren't, and so so you showed yourself that
I don't need it.
you don't need it.
No,
Nor
there was no
do you need to
for it.
deny yourself it.
Right.
This is a really important point when it comes to like addiction stuff. The denial often exacerbates, right? Because that which you fight,
it's my brother,
magnifies it.
That was my brother,
right? So this kind of like go cold turkey programs oftentimes make it worse.
Oh,
so there's got to be like with the oxytocin titration of some.
Yeah, my brother was in rehab he did 2 stints. First was 2 months, second was 4 months. And when I went and picked him up from the airport after his 4-month stint, his teeth were stained red from drinking wine all the way home. I was like, holy shit, like, fuck. Well, I guess that's that. That really didn't stick, huh? Like, at least you got 4 months clean out of you. But exactly, like that denial of the substance for him was so huge that it was so aggravating.
Right.
It's
like doing violence to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So for me, it was just, it was cool because it was this, I just admired the drink. I admired the effort. Look at the amount of effort that goes into each glass. Like this is a tradition that's existed. They just sat there and whimsically looked at it and thought, funny. Like, why don't I want it though? But I don't need it. Like, I don't have that thing that's sitting on my shoulders anymore and feels so crushing. I don't have that. So I don't require any dulling of the edge. That's gone. So I slept. I went to bed and I slept that night for the first time in forever. Slept 10 hours, which is also weird after MDMA because you don't really sleep all that well. But I slept like a baby. I slept deep and long and dreamless. And I never had another nightmare. And I never had another vision. Doesn't mean that I was healed. Doesn't mean, but I also would challenge notions of healing anyways. I was healed in the right way that I needed to be. I still had work to do, but I always have work to do. We all have work to do. And are you ever 100% healed? Well, what is healing? Right. It's just momentum. What's momentum forward? And so now all of a sudden I had this ability to move. I wasn't stuck anymore. I could move. And so filled with this new, I'm in a much better position. The strains have, or the chains that have kind of bound me over the last number of years seem to have relaxed. And so I started to make some decisions. Like, what is this going to look like? What do I need to do here? My marriage had suffered so much miscommunication and so much damage by that point that we ended up having a divorce. And it was very amicable. And, my ex-wife and I to this day are very friendly, and she's a great mom. But it was time. It was time to step away from that relationship. And so we had to make that decision. And then it was just, Adele and I moving into a condo and me figuring out what the hell I'm going to do with my life. After a 3-month hiatus from Holos, I was so sick and tired of trying to get CFOs to buy into corporate wellness. Like, I can sit there and talk about return on investment all day long and how this will enable productivity within your organization. But these are hard guys. And if you can't really show but where's the money in it? Well, fuck. So I gave up. I was like, you know what? This isn't working. I want to make this kind of impact on people. I want to do something that is going to elevate their existence, but it's not this. I can't, if I have to ask permission through every CFO, I'm just never going to get to where I need to be. So what am I going to do with my life? I created the Raven Lake Investments, which is a private equity portfolio that I own with my own money and operate, and started investing in organizations, local companies that were dedicated to making money by doing good, essentially, mostly in the mental health and health space. But we have some really cool organizations that we work with that do really cool shit. Mentorly is an organization that is one of the companies that I own, that these guys are out of Quebec, and they do this online mentorship platform that's really compelling and really strong. It's a very cool organization. Like, that's what I wanted to invest in. So companies like this. But it's kind of like it's a mile wide and an inch deep. It's not me getting my hands dirty. I'm paying to play.
It's hard to fulfill purpose through an investment.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's not.
I know a lot of people. I mean, it's even alluring to me, but like, it's not visceral. Like,
right.
You're working through these opaque organizations to get to the impact and so you're disconnected from the actual impact.
And you never get the joy of getting your hands dirty.
Right.
You know, the experience of getting your hands dirty and getting in the grit just isn't there.
Right. This is why you can't fulfill purpose through charity either.
Right. 100%. Absolutely.
You were like, oh yeah, I'm really believing that. That's my purpose. So I'm going to donate money. It's
I'm a philanthropist. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And so I just found myself being bored. I got this opportunity by this organization in Edmonton, Synergy, asked me to create this executive retreat experience out in San Diego. Yeah. And so, okay. A buddy of mine, Jared Smith, had this experience with this organization. I think you know, it's called Seal Fit. Yeah. And Jared had gone through his own loss and suffered a lot. He lost his sister, and this was his way to come back from the loss, was to engage in this month-long program with you and your team at Seal Fit. And
I remember that very well.
Oh, yeah. The impact that you made on this guy was just, I mean, Jared is one of my closest friends. And so I asked him, you know, we're going to be out in San Diego, and you talk about this Mark Devine guy all the time. And he's, you know, I would like to bring him in to speak to the executive of this organization about what it means to operate as a team. Because that was the impetus, that was the kind of central thesis for this whole experience was teamwork. Like, how do you operate as a team? And Jared connected me to you, and I brought you in to speak. And you spoke, and you were the only session out of the entire experience that I had created for these guys. You're the only session that I actually sat in on, because by that time I had read your book, Unbeatable Mind, and it's so good that I wanted to just know you a little bit. So you and I went for breakfast. And you remarked how it was chilly outside, which threw me for a loop.
You were Canadian.
Yeah. It was like 17 degrees Celsius outside. You're like, oh, we're going to eat outside. It's a little chilly. What the hell?
I know.
I thought you were going to hunt for your food or something. But
well, there is that. But.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you and I had breakfast
San Diego
together.
has corrupted me when it comes to
off
the
the edges a little.
Yeah.
I just found you were just so not what I was expecting. It was so disarming
You
and
think
easy.
I was going to be like show up with an axe hanging off my
I thought
shoulder?
I was going to have breakfast with Rambo. Yeah, and that didn't end up occurring. It was just casual breakfast, and you were fun to hang out with and told good stories. We just connected, and then you gave this talk, this 90-minute talk to the exec, and man, was it good. Like it was all about mental discipline and managing your emotions, and also, like what it means to stand by people and that kind of bond, that kind of teamwork. And this was in the middle of, not in the middle, but this was during the time of COVID, where the full dismantling of the notion of community was occurring. We had COVID happening. We had #MeToo happening. We had Black Lives Matter, like huge movements, huge things that became, giant social constructs and very complicated. And so people were isolated. Like people weren't talking anymore. There was a lot of hatred and venom in this world. Right. And then there was this like absolutely explosion in male suicide rates. Men started killing themselves off in record numbers, like chasing cancer globally. And no one's talking about it because it's, like kind of, if you're a man and you're going to kill yourself, well, then go ahead, fuck off.
Especially if you're a white guy.
Exactly. Yeah. And so there was no conversation whatsoever. I know a lot of guys back at home that, were going through their own shit, that were remarkable men that cared nothing more than, for their families and their communities. And they were A-type alpha guys, but they were they weren't this thing that was created on media about like the venom and the nastiness of it all. And all these guys, just no one's talking because they're kind of told to shut the fuck up and do the job. And that's kind of it, and suffer in silence. And that was worrisome to me. And your talk was so compelling and hit such like really important notes that I felt there's a lot of guys that could stand hearing more of what you're saying. You had your own platform to do it, but I may have chased you out of the hotel after your talk. And I said to you, like, I don't know how this is going to work, but all the stuff that you said in there was really important to me, and it needs an audience. Like, this stuff needs to be heard. And so I don't know how you and I are going to work together, but one day, we're going to figure this shit out. And I have to assume.
I remember that very well.
You were like, all right.
And I was like, I've heard this story a few times in the past.
Right, of course.
But I'm open to it.
Yeah. Well, what you said to me, which has stuck with me ever since and has made such an important mark on me that, it's indelible, is you said, I got a mission in life, and the mission is to positively impact 100 million lives. And if you can help me with that mission, then great. And I said, okay. And I went home and started having some conversations with some very close friends of mine, John Trapp and Ryan Collins. Awesome fucking men, men, really, really, really great guys and very close friends of mine, brothers of mine. And we started just having conversations about, my experience with you, and they were also hyper aware of the struggle out there and the lack of resources for men who are going through their own shit. And so what does that look like? And we started having conversations. Now, a little while before I came out to see you, Ryan had granted me this experience with a psychedelic therapist to work through my grief of losing my family. Now that the PTSD had subsided, I still was left with my family's gone.
There's the next. It's like peeling an onion.
Right, exactly. Now I got to deal with this shit. I'm all of a sudden really aware that I'm really alone. And so Ryan lined up this experience with this psychedelic therapist to work through some of that. And so I went for a session with her. She gave me MDMA and acid.
Whoa. That's an interesting combo.
They're synergistic. They work really nicely together. The reason is that the MDMA, the flushing of serotonin into your blood, softens the LSD experience.
Yeah, I've never done it, but I've heard it's pretty edgy. It can be edgy.
Acid has a tendency to be, it's going to be what it needs to be.
Right.
That's the thing with psychedelics. And that's why there's reverence and respect that is due for these compounds.
For sure.
They're not meant to fuck around with.
Right.
Like you got to respect them because they bite back.
Great.
And so in the hands of this therapist, she ran me through this whole session. And then she had me close my eyes and meditate. And she turned on this tribal music. And in my meditation, I found myself sitting in this boat, this Longship, which is strange to me because I'm, of Norwegian heritage. Like it's in my blood. Yeah, I'm like 70% Norwegian.
Yeah. So like the Viking boats that we see, those are called Longships.
Those are called Longships. Okay. Those big with the dragon head.
Yeah, but everyone's
rowing.
With the rowing.
Yeah. And I'm sitting in this boat, and I've got. It's wild, like it real as this is. And I look over and there's my brother Ryan, and he's rowing. And there's my brother John, and he's rowing. And there's Jared, and there's Hank, and there's all these guys who were so important during my experience of getting through this shit.
They were in your boat.
Yeah, that I didn't realize they were in my boat, like I didn't fully realize that, holy shit, I survived this. Not because I was the toughest guy in the room. I had a group of profoundly strong men who were rowing right beside me the entire time, and I wasn't overly cognizant of it until I had that vision. And we were all rowing in the boat, and it's pouring rain, lightning, and thunder, and the waves are crashing, and we're all laughing and rowing. Nobody's saying a word. We're just laughing and rowing to the beat of this tribal music. The coolest vision.
That is a cool vision. I love that.
So I snapped out of it with this profound sense of gratitude for my guys. Like, thank God I had these guys. And it was so important. So as we started kind of assembling this idea of what this could look like, it became, well, we could call it Longship. And so we started down this path of creating this organization, and by that time too, I was in a much better headspace. I had started dating this woman who I dated in high school, and she made her way back into my life, Elaine. And so I found this partner that I could really, for the first time, unload.
You're just waiting for you to become worthy of her.
Right. And it took 20 years, but I got there a couple decades later. And so that was this, incredibly healthy input into my life, was this woman who was just all your brokenness, all the shit, all the things, all the stuff, puke it out. Go ahead, because I'll hold space for it. I can handle it. And that I was not accustomed to. And so I could have these really open, honest conversations that I never really had with another woman before. And she just, eyes wide open and arms wide open, and just met with compassion and love. And so I was in this place now where, I can move forward with momentum with this incredible group of humans that are now encircling me. And we're going to do something. We're going to do something that's going to be motivated by all the angst, all the pain, all the legacy of my family, but with greater knowledge that I'm not the one that's suffering. We suffer. There's a lot of suffering. And I've told this to people before, if you really want to move through your pain and your agony, focus on somebody else's and give to them, because that'll heal you faster than fucking anything I know of.
Yeah.
And so we called it Longship, and then we called you and said, hey, so remember how I said you're probably going to have a hard time getting rid of me?
Sticky booger.
Yeah, exactly. And, we launched Longship and started working in Edmonton, started building what we call boat crews. So, a group of men who will come together once a month and start working through their shit. Mm-hmm. And it started with this, we call it council, where guys to come together and we do these 5-minute updates about where are you? And it's based upon the mountains in your book. We focus specifically on the emotional, mental, and physical mountains. And so you're given 5 minutes to go through those mountains and where are you at? Successes, challenges, hardship, celebrations, all of it. And we work through the group in that manner, and then we come back and focus more intently on, some bigger arenas and some themes that come out of those conversations. But, we've been doing this for, holy shit, we're going to be coming up on year 3 here right away. And, consider this, the last 2 years have been this beta test of what do guys need? Because when we called you and said, this is what I'm thinking and this is what it looks like. And then we flew out to Encinitas to see you. And we flew out, it's very you. We flew out at we had all these grand ideas of what Longship is. And we met you for coffee. And you said, we started launching into this whole conversation. Okay, Mark, we're going to essentially ready to be impressed. And what it ended up being was you interjecting yourself at the 15-minute mark and going, listen, guys, if Longship is meant to be a pulpit for your egos, the world has enough of that, and this will never be a thing. It'll never do what it needs to do. You have to allow enough space for Longship to become what it needs to become, and just pay attention to it. Pay attention to your members, pay attention to the audience, pay attention to what the world is telling you it needs, instead of you asserting yourself in terms I know what it needs because my intellect, my ego, I'm going to tell you what it needs.
It's a different way of business building, isn't it?
Very much. And it was really important because since that point, we went back a little deflated.
Sorry about that.
We had such
It's
a good
called
idea.
Tough love.
Yeah, it was perfect. And it was much needed. Because what we went back and did was exactly that. We started whiteboarding with our group. What is it you guys want? We don't know. We're going to, and we still.
I love that. Just the idea of a customer or a member created organization.
100%. There's no gurus in this.
Yeah.
We've
awesome.
created this monthly email called Wisdom from the Boat that we're just starting to distribute now. But all it is it's a quote from ancient wisdom and then just like a 300-word essay on what that is. Because Longship isn't here to be your guru. We're not here to tell the world how it should be or what you need to do to better your life necessarily. What we can bring to bear is some education from some really great thought leaders that can provide some ideas in terms of application to your life. But it's the community.
It's the tribe where you have the opportunity to be in loving support of your brothers.
Exactly right, 100%. And
because you're in the boat and you got to row together.
Yeah.
And they need your support and you need theirs. Or else the boat don't go nowhere.
No, you're stuck on
that
the
in
sand.
SEAL training. Right?
Yeah, no kidding.
That's awesome. So there are a lot of men's groups out there. What is, we've already articulated one thing that's different. Like this is kind of like not the guy or the guys telling everyone what they need. It's like bottom up, right? So that's amazing. The other thing I really love is that like you and I say this a lot in my training, you don't leave the body behind. You don't look at like the body as a supplemental thing.
Oh, exactly.
Like,
right.
just go get healthy or whatever. No. The body is our experience machine.
Absolutely.
You want a high quality of life. You want to be in service. Then you bring your body with you wherever you go. So let's engage it. Let's challenge it. Let's refine it.
Yeah, you're stuck in this meat suit. So what are you doing with it?
Right. What are you doing with
Yeah,
it?
because this is your vehicle, and it's like driving a car.
So many people just ignore it.
Yeah, of course.
And then they live from the neck up.
Right, which is a tough way to live.
It's a rough place to live.
Rough existence, when you're just living in your face.
Right.
That's not where you want to be. Yeah, for us, I mean, we're now creating these immersions that are dedicated to challenge. You know, one of them called The Ascent will take place in the Rocky Mountains. And it's some of the most beautiful, picturesque hiking that you can do, but it's meant to bring about a sense of challenge physically, without question. But there's also a really healthy component of adventure. Like, there's a lot of, we are not a self-help group. We're not meant to be that. What we talk about in Longship is survive to thrive. We're meant to go from survive to thrive. The last 2 years in Longship have been a lot of focus on the support aspect of things in the heart, a lot of survive stuff. But now we're starting to really build into, okay, like now that we've got a clear indication of what is required in that arena, what does the thrive aspect look like? So now bringing adventure into this experience and starting to build retreats with you, with a couple other of our archetype partners that do really, really cool, compelling things and bring this sense of, holy shit, I want to do this because it's a sense of I get to do this with my guys, my boat crew, the guys that we talk deeply with, but also get to experience this world with, right? And our job is to tether those bonds, right?
Do you see this as just a Canada, United States thing, or do you think it's going to be like a global movement?
Yeah, the whole idea is to be a movement, right? Like I don't see this as just some kind of corporate entity. I want this needs to be something that world around men are uniting to sit and be open and be vulnerable with each other. But, a lot of organizations,
still do hard shit.
Well, this is what I mean. A lot of organizations and a lot of men's groups, and they talk about safe space, but Longship needs to focus more on the notion of brave space. Like, yeah, it's safe, but it's going to take courage to do what you need to do here and to open yourself up in the way that you need to open yourself up, and then to challenge yourself, right? To come and do these experiences and to do the kind of stuff that will better your existence here in this place that you live in, this experience that you have. It requires challenge. We've talked about this before, but if you're not challenging yourself, oh God, like it's the quickest way to the grave. So there has to be a level of challenge, but it has to be also met with like adventure.
Yeah,
something you're going to come home with and go, fuck, that was cool.
There's a section in my book, The Way of the SEAL, where I talk about bringing the challenge to you.
Yeah.
Before the challenge comes to find you, right?
Right. Because the challenge is coming.
The challenge is going to come anyways, right? And so most people ignore it, they shy from it, they run from it, and it just gets bigger and bigger until it tsunamis, just washes over them and destroys, wrecks the person's life.
Absolutely.
So what we can do to navigate that is curate our own challenges, and you can make them fun and adventurous, but still challenging, and challenging yourself the right way, right? So that takes a little bit of courage, and also it takes some friends to say, you know what, Cody, you're kind of good in the physical. Now you need to go do a little bit more of the,
Yeah.
maybe the silent stuff. So maybe it's
A
like
little deep dive
Maybe
goes
it's
a
a
long way.
silent retreat or a vision quest you need to do, which, wow, shit.
Right. Yeah.
I don't really want to do that, but that's what you need to do.
Ryan keeps putting me in positions that I really didn't want to be in.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. And he, just a couple of years ago, he went out to Colombia to do this ayahuasca. It's not I wouldn't even call it a retreat. It's with this guy, Sean Chester, who is one of the most authentic shaman people I've ever met in my life. Like, this man is that. He would never call himself that. He's that kind of authentic. This guy is absolutely remarkable. I do want you to meet him one day, because we'll see if we can line that up, because you would love this guy. But Ryan coerced me to go out to Colombia to do this experience, and I really didn't want to do it. Like, I had no interest whatsoever. I really didn't want to go. But Ryan felt that it would be positive for me to go and continue this journey of healing and ensure that, especially as we're building Longship, I have to operate from some foundations of strength here if we're going to build this space. And so we went to Colombia and did this ayahuasca experience with the company's called the Native Guides. And it was one of the most fruitful experiences of my life. I was surrounded by love and compassion by strangers that I'd never known before in the middle of the Amazon jungle at the foot of the Andes. And this tribe of just profoundly beautiful human beings who don't even speak my language ran me through this 3 nights of ayahuasca that was really hard, really challenging, but totally renewed my faith in God, which when we talked earlier, we talked about my Christianity and it being thin. And now I'm Christian, but I don't go to church. I'm not a church-going Christian. I have a faith that is just unshakable. Like, my idea of God and my relationship to God is a very personal one. It's my relationship with him, but it's deep, and it's guided me in directions ever since that experience that have fully renewed my notion of faith. So, but it was challenging and painful. It's tough, but for me, it was incredible.
So is a vision that people can open up or start their own boat? I want to say boat crew.
Yes.
Because that's what
the idea is
a boat crew. Yeah.
100%. People need to, and we grant instruction on how to operate a boat crew. So we'll give you all the instructions. That's nothing that we charge for. We want people to come together and unite and build community and talk, right? And we'll give you instruction on how to do that and how to operate the whole meeting. That's free of charge for us. For us, it's a matter of we're providing education. Now we're trying to figure out how to scale it, because we do want to be, around the world. We want to bring this to as many regions as we possibly can, because we believe heavily that it's a very healthy input into this world presently. And so our job now is to create these experiences that'll fully unite them and fully bond them. But for organizations or people that are looking to get started, they just need to reach out to us, and we'll give them all the guidance and all the instruction manuals in terms of how this operates and the questions to ask during the meetings. And then hop online for the education and join us for the experiences. Yeah.
And will there be a digital community aspect to it, or
Yes.
is the community just the boat crew?
Yeah, no, there has to be a digital aspect to it. We fought against it for a while because the digital experience is so far removed from doing this.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when you and I FaceTime, it's one thing, but when I actually get to come to San Diego and see you, it's a different kind of quality altogether. So we've resisted the digital side of the equation, but the problem has been that we've had so many people reach out and say, listen, like, there's no Longship in my community right now. And I really don't have a community of brothers to do this with. So how do I get access to Longship? By being essentially isolated. And so now we've started to craft this online community.
Yeah, so
we're launching in
so you
January.
can feel part of the community without
Absolutely.
actually having a regional group that you're part of.
And then once we notice that there is capacity within a specific region, we can start building out that Longship within that region to start giving those guys guidance in terms of this is what it looks like and this is how it operates, and you guys need to know each other. Yeah.
So what's the future vision, 10-year vision?
Oh man, if we're long shipping all over the place, the whole idea is to start building out. We hope that we have something called the Nordman Conference. This is the direction that we want to head in, that once a year, people are going, they're doing the experiences, they're immersed in the education, they're building community where they are and having conversations with their brothers based on specific questions that, we've crafted all together. And then bring everybody together for the Nordman Conference once a year so that all these brothers of Longship can come together and get to know each other and really get immersed in this, global community, of people operating in this way all around the world. And, we're a big believer that when you're operating from such a healthy standpoint, it does better this place, right? Like, we make decisions presently in this world from a very, very negative, pessimistic, cynical idea, right? Like, the mental health crisis that we're going through presently is profound, and we're making big decisions when we're not all that well. And so if we can be an ingredient in the betterment of this world, whereby, we can get some men who are making big, important decisions in their families, in their communities, in their businesses, wherever, then it's what an honor that is to be a healthy input into this planet. So that's
change the narrative one person at a time.
100%, absolutely.
Be the change we want to see at scale through a global network of Longships, all rowing in the same direction.
The idea
toward a brighter future. 100%. I love that. Is it longship.com is the web?
Longshipmen.com.
Longshipmen.com.
Yeah, it's and we're about to launch our new website with all the education and all the online components and online community in January of 2026. So, and
you've got a book where you basically share the story you just shared.
Yeah, and goes a little deeper and a little. Yeah, the book is Longship by Cody Lakefield. You can find it on Amazon. It's a compelling read, even for me. Sometimes I'm like, holy shit. Oh my God. Chapter 26 sucked. Yeah.
Writing a book is a great experience.
I've told everybody that one of the healthiest things I think I've ever done.
It's cathartic. Yeah.
It forces you to reflect deeply upon your life and where you stand presently. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. Yeah, it was hard to do.
Everybody should write their own memoir.
Well, I wrote it because you told me to. See?
Sorry.
See the problem that we have?
Yeah, we do have a problem.
Yeah, because that was another thing. You said, we need to figure out how to tell this story because it's got a genesis to it that's important. And I went home after that and literally started writing the next day, and 4 months later had a book. So thanks, awesome. By the way, brother. I appreciate it.
It needed to come out of you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
Awesome. That's been a lot of fun. Do we have any social media for Longship yet?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we're on Instagram. Longship Man. Yeah.
Longship.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram.
I should probably follow you.
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea. We follow you. So, yeah. I mean, you are a founding partner in this.
Great conversation, Cody.
That's always good to see you.
Appreciate you very much. Hoo-yah.
Hoo-yah.
That's it for the Mark Divine Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Super appreciate you walking this path of leadership and compassion and growth together. It's really cool. Doing the work. 100 million. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends, family, pay it forward, do the work yourself also, and rate it and review it wherever you listen, because that really helps others find it and keeps us, at the top of the heap. There's only about 1 billion podcasts out there nowadays. It's like crazy how many there are.
Yeah, there's no shortage.
Check out longshipmen.com. Get Cody's book if his story intrigued you. A lot more in there, a lot more details. And if you want to learn more about my work and our work at Unbeatable Mind, go visit markdivine.com or unbeatablemindcom. I say that only because we're in transition, right, with websites and whatnot, trying to get our brand aligned. Anyways, you can learn how to work with me directly in a coaching relationship or group coaching or training or corporate work, where my team and I help transform cultures to become unbeatable teams. You can find me on Instagram at MarkDivineOfficial, and you can find me also at LinkedIn. So, hoo-yah. Till next time, go form a boat and row together. Hoo-yah. Divine out.